Hello everyone, and welcome to Blank First Page. My name is Lucas. This video is Gear of the Year 2024. Last year I released what ended up being one of my more popular videos, which is a review of all the stationery that I had used in the prior year. So I'm doing the same again this year. There are some of the usual suspects, but there are a lot more items of stationery than I had last year, and there are some unique gems that you will enjoy. So let's get into it. I will start with what is definitely the most important, my field notes pocket notebooks. You know by now, if you've watched this channel, I carry one of these pocket notebooks around with me every day. And that's not just when I'm outside, when I'm going places, it is also inside with me. It goes with me from the kitchen to the couch, to the bedroom, to my study, and so on. So it is truly a daily carry. And in 2024, I used 9 of them. There are unfortunately only 8 here. And this is only the second time in the over a decade that I've been using field notes that I've actually lost one. Nothing particularly surprising about the field notes. I do love them. They have the 100-pound cover. The paper is the 60-pound, which takes a variety of pens and pencils very well. They wear just phenomenally well, as you can see from some of these. This one in particular, where it's done a good job of being a coaster. It's obviously been in and out of the pockets quite a bit. This year I do have a video planned about a deep dive into some of my used field notes, so we can talk about the intricacies of my system, as much of a system as it is. So I'll save that for then. In the meantime, you can just enjoy the beautiful array of the used and worn field notes covers here that I used in 2024. Another set of notebooks I'm not going to talk too much about because I have another video planned for this year are my house renovation notebooks. So I did share in my last video new backdrop. I'm in a new house, a house that my wife and I renovated during the course of 2024. And these notebooks were critical to planning that all out. So these 3 notebooks kind of tell the whole journey from the starting plan before we had even bought the house, all the way through all the decisions about dimensions, options for layouts, furniture, and so on. You can look forward to a video doing a deep dive into these 3 notebooks as well. Quick detour now to some of the writing instruments that I've used. You will probably recognize my Kaweco Lilliput pen. This is my grocery pen. This is my going outside of the house pen, and the reason it's my going outside of the house pen is because it will fit in a front pocket, which is the most secure place I typically have to put a pen in. So Old Faithful Kaweco Lilliput. I think this is probably the 4th or 5th year that I have it, and I may have only gone through just one of the refills. I didn't do much with fountain pens. I did use my Mont Blanc and my Y Studio, which was my wedding present to myself, but they didn't get kind of very much daily use. I did buy and use this Lamy Safari. I think it's called the Safari AL because it's the aluminum body as opposed to the plastic. I don't hate it, but it doesn't do much for me either. What I did love was the Pilot G207. Now this came into my life because of the Bear stationery video that I made in 2024. And I just bought it so that I had something for the video. It ended up being probably my favorite pen that I used all year. There are so many nice things to say about the Pilot G2. The click is super functional, which is what I talked about in the Bear video. The grip is handy if you've got oily hands. It's very reliable. I mean, I was throwing this around constantly and there are no dings. I also found out from the kind owner of a stationery shop in Scotland that you can get the refills for this, which is great because the body will last you a long time because it is made out of durable plastic. You can just buy the refills, and it is also a more sustainable option. I found that out as I was buying my second Pilot G2, so not much help to me, but I will definitely be buying refills in the future. The Bic Crystal, this is a pen that I have come to love to hate. It is very reliable, very actually nice to write with, but I'll do a video about why I really don't like using it. I'm still using it because I want to run it out, but I'm doing so begrudgingly. Also, on some of your recommendations, I purchased a couple of pencils, 2 of the Mitsubishi pencils. So I have the Mitsubishi High Uni, and the Mitsubishi 9850. So these were recommendations to some of my previous pencil videos, particularly the Mono 100. They were recommended as alternatives to them. I always buy the HB when I'm buying a pencil, and they've lived up to your hype, I have to say. I've enjoyed using the 9850 more, and that's more an aesthetic decision than a functional one, because they both have similar types of graphite, but I do like the red of the 9850 more. And then the final writing instrument that I used is this dip pen, which I need to talk about in a set of things. So this combination of stationery came together because of one of my trips to London, where I went to L. Cornelissen and Son, which is a very famous art store in London. I think it's been there since the late 1800s. I like being in art stores, but because I'm mostly looking for pencils, pens, and notebooks, I don't typically buy a lot of things. But this notebook I liked because of its green cover and the store name embossed in it. The paper is very thick, and it's meant for sketching, so I thought I would try my hand at a bit of artwork. And for that, I also bought from L. Cornelissen this iron oak gall ink, which is ink that is made out of oak galls, which kind of, they're like these shells that look like acorns. I guess it's the things that fall from an oak tree. It's an old way of making ink, and what is fascinating about this ink is when you first put it down, it goes down extremely light. And then it oxidizes. And so the lines that you see in my sketches are quite a dark black, but when you actually put the ink down, it goes on very light. And then this is just a dip pen that I bought from my local art store to be able to use that ink, because I don't think it's ink that should go in fountain pen. So that's a bit of a departure for me, doing something art related with my notebooks, which I've been enjoying. And now, in a similarly uncharacteristic way for me, I also have an eraser to talk about. One of the main reasons I do not bother erasing things is because I don't really care that much about striking a line through something instead of erasing it. However, when I was doing some of my planning for the house, doing some sketches, I'm not an architect and I'm not a very good sketch artist either. So there were things that I had to erase. So I did some research on erasers, and I came across this Tombow dust catch, which, as the name implies, is meant to catch the dust. It has these polymers in it which make the dust of the eraser, that would normally be these kind of defined threads, coagulate kind of in a way, and you end up with maybe one thick piece of eraser. It's as if you carved off a bit of the eraser rather than having a bunch of dust, which is a much neater solution. So if you do need and use erasers, it is very much an eraser I can recommend. And now finally, my work notebooks. So I obviously have a notebook for work. I talk about how I keep that separate to everything else I do. And I typically choose a larger form notebook, mostly because it gives me a variety to the notebooks I have. I obviously use my pocket notebook, so I like to have a different form factor because it's enjoyable to change it up. I also use a larger format because I can then typically fit in notes from a meeting, say, in one page. So having said that, I have used smaller form factor notebooks such as this Kunisawa, which I just love for the paper. This I used the Y Studio fountain pen in, and the Pilot G2. I used the Field Notes Reporter notebook. This is a particularly good notebook for traveling. Reporters are obviously out in the field a lot. For my line of work, I am also out in the field a lot and traveling a lot, so this is a nice form factor to have. You can hold it easily in one hand and write with the other. The length is also handy from that point of view, that you can get a lot of notes into a single page. Then I have another couple of ring-bound style notebooks. They are ring-bound on the vertical side. So this is a Muji notebook, just one of their standard lined notebooks, rather thin, 48 pages, which I like because I like being able to get through a notebook relatively quickly. And the Muji paper is just fantastic again. Japanese paper. I don't think anything beats Japanese paper for just taking any writing instrument on it. You can write in pencil, you can write in pen, cheap, expensive fountain pens, it's all going to work well. This one got a nice bit of wear to it as well. I was also introduced to the Atoma brand of notebooks by a colleague who very kindly sent me my first one. Made in Belgium, it's a Belgian royal warrant holder, and it is ink-loving paper. The defining feature of this notebook are these rings. So it is not exactly ring-bound. The paper has little perforations in it that allow you to remove the paper from the location it's in, transfer it to another place in the book, and because it is designed in such a way with these perforations, you can clip it effectively back into a new spot. I don't use that feature much myself, but it is a very interesting design, and it also means, because there is no connecting wire as there is in other types of ring-bound notebooks, that it is very flexible. A very enjoyable notebook to use, very good quality as well. And then finally, speaking of good quality, I had also watched a video about the Kokuyo campus notebooks, which are kind of the standard school copybook, I believe, in Japan. This particular version comes in a set of 5. You get them in all these different colors. They're all lined in the same way. They have a nice handy number and date at the top. They're kind of line dotted. Very high quality paper, very easy to write on with a number of different writing instruments. My only gripe is that it does not fit into my Filson briefcase, which is basically my everyday carry bag. It's my work bag. And one of the other reasons I like this A5 format for my work notebooks is that it fits very nicely into a half. I've modified my work bag so that the inside pocket is actually split into 2. This campus one I have to kind of throw in the middle, which makes it a bit less organized. So there's my gear of the year for 2024. Let me know in the comments what stationery you yourself went through. If you have any new recommendations, I am very much keen to hear. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.